beneath the tranquil surface, a geological time bomb was about to detonate. Deep underwater, volcanic vents had slowly been releasing carbon dioxide into the lake for years.
We saw people that they have fallen, blood coming out from their mouth, some struggling to survive. There was no way.
On the evening of August 21, 1986, a cloud of carbon dioxide erupted from Lake Nyos in the mountainous region of northwestern Cameroon, which borders Nigeria.
6 million tons of carbon dioxide in an explosive degassing event.
Silent and deadly, the gas rolled down the hills, into valleys and villages, suffocating everything in its path.
Even you have birds, flies that you could not see. When you were looking on the ground, that you see flies dead. You see birds that are fallen. You see cows. All of them died.
By the next morning, more than 1,700 people were dead.
In my grandfather's compound, over 40 people died, buried in mass graves. There were even closets where people were buried, over 100 people in a grave.
Survivors were forced to flee into safety, but there was hardly one.
Houses have been destroyed, schools have been destroyed because of the crisis. So there is a lot of pain in us.
They were shooting, killing, burning houses. Everybody in Buabua ran away. Everybody.
From your present situation, the children must ask you some question. Why is your life like this? And telling them the truth is better because they can find a way out in future.
In this documentary for the CRTV, titled From the Lake of Horror to Fire in the Camp, we are investigating the burning of the Buabua resettlement camp in early 2020 and how the scars from the destruction have unsettled the lives of victims for decades. I am Killer Valerie Sala, and you are listening to From the Lake of Horror to Fire in the Camp. A warning, this documentary contains some graphic descriptions.
21st August 1986, I discovered that my mother, my father, all of them were outside, blood coming out from their mouth. By then, my father had 3 wives. All the wives, everybody was sleeping outside. Even the goats that we were having, they were dead.
Chia Christopher Chu was 20 years old when Lake Nyos turned deadly in 1986.
One of my uncles who just came in that night, he was a commissioner. As he came to Subum, on his way back to his house, he fell on the ground, and that was all about him. 2 of his daughters were also dead.
Mary Kimbe, then a young student in college, away from the disaster area, survived, but her family members perished.
In my grandfather's compound, over 40 people died. Somebody like my grandfather, I heard that they buried him in front of his house, and 2 years after the disaster, I went and saw the grave.
By moderate estimates, more than 1,700 people died, and over 3,500 animals were also suffocated to death. Bodies were buried in mass graves, dug to contain as many corpses as possible.
Although some of the family members came and took some of their relatives, did the burial themselves. But following the mass burial, they dug a hole, then they were pushing the people to that hole and covering them with ground. So that's how people were being buried. If you go to Subum now, you still see that particular spot where the mass burial took place. Because there was no car carrying people, so when they see that so many people are dead here, then they just gather them in one spot, dig a place and put them inside.
There were even closets where people were buried, over 100 people in a grave. In other places, some people resisted for some time before they died. So it's not a situation which somebody would like to remember, especially in a compound where you had over 120 people. 70 are put in a mass grave. The others were like they were drunk. They could not really believe the scene.
The most affected villages around the lake were Nyos, Sobo, and Chia. But not everyone in these communities died. More than 15,000 survivors fled into safety in various resettlement camps. One of the biggest was the Buabua resettlement camp in the Boyo division of the northwest region of the country. In January 2020, another nightmare struck.
As they came in now, everybody started running because they were killing. They were shooting, killing, burning houses. They made almost 3 weeks only in Buabua. Everybody in Buabua ran away. Everybody. The place was just like how Lake Nyos happened, and people died, and they carried them, went to the hospital. That's how 20 people were in the resettlement area. There was nobody. Some even left. They didn't know where to go because they had no family members outside. Many were killed. Many were killed. Houses burnt. To the quarter of the houses in Buabua were burnt down. You go to one room, you will see 5 people staying in one room because they don't have a place to stay. In the resettlement camp now,
it's rather sad to see that since 1986, the Lake Nyos survivors have been moving from one disaster to another. I talked of the humanitarian crisis that occurred after the disaster. But the worst is this northwest-southwest crisis. The truth is, we have suffered again. I'll tell you, we are afraid of death because we had experienced death in a different dimension in 1986. We don't think we should be involved in anything that will attract any grief again on us. This disaster now, which we are suffering from, is even worse than the one that occurred in 1986. Because that was a gas which nobody could put a finger on it. But this one, people saw armed men with guns.
Key questions have remained unanswered. Who was responsible for the Arson Act? To understand the context and background that can provide clues to the incident, the socio-political event of late 2016 in Cameroon are critical. From street protest by teachers and lawyers against perceived marginalization of the minority English-speaking regions of the country, the situation quickly degenerated into an armed conflict between government defense and security forces and armed separatist combatants. Chia Christopher Cho, who was kidnapped by armed people he believes were separatist fighters, saw his house burnt down, forcing him to escape from the area.
they said that for me to be free is 300,000. My wife sent 305,000 to them. That was 2018. So they gave me 5,000 as transport. It was by 6 p.m. that I left that place. We took 2 hours on a bike. 8 o'clock I was in the village. People came out because since I left, they had no information about me. They knew that they have killed me. People came, they were crying, some were rejoicing. At the end, I just told them that I'm not remaining here.
But Christopher and Mary have a similar line of witness account that suggests that the camp was burnt down by armed men suspected to have crossed into Cameroon from a neighboring country to reinforce Fulani graziers who at the time were locked in deadly confrontations with separatist groups in the Buabua area.
A group of armed Fulani men came in from Nigeria, raised the dilapidating houses in our resettlement camps, especially in Buabua. There is a video that was trending where our people were running helter-skelter.
It was the Mboro guys that made their brothers to come in for support because when the separatists were coming in, they were attacked those Mboro guys so heavily, taking their cows. So the Mboro guys did not know what to do instead of just calling their brothers from Nigeria to come and defend them in one or the other, for what I know.
Right groups, including Amnesty International, have documented several of such clashes between Fulani grazers and separatist insurgents in many localities of the conflict-affected northwest region of Cameroon. In Wa, Buabua, and other border localities, eyewitness accounts have confirmed the cross-border nature of the confrontations, which often result in casualties on both sides. Buabua is so remote, and so we've relied on amateur pictures and videos from few survivors in the area, and the audiovisual evidence points to destruction of buildings in the locality, especially schools and residential infrastructure.
My name is Chudroti. I'm from Buabua, northwest region of Cameroon. For the past years, from 1986 right to 2017 or 2016, at least there was a little calmness in Buabua, and our memories were almost taken away from the Lake Nyos disaster till when the crisis started, and then brought another pain again into our hearts that has made many of our families and our relatives moving out of the place because of the crisis. So there is a lot of pain in us.
Many want to go back to the resettlement camps, but limited infrastructure and security concerns are a major problem.
So our plea is, we should first of all look for means to restore peace. We can't be talking about building houses, building schools again, encouraging people to go back to the village when peace has not come back. The whole of this region is a danger zone, and for any effective development to go on, there must be peace. So we'll plead with the powers that be, even the government. Why not? Let's rethink. Let's look into this crisis again and give it another thought and look for ways to bring back peace to this region. In that way, we can be able to reconstruct houses, even do many other things which we had started doing. We are not going to remain for 50 years to be calling ourselves the Lake Nyos survivors for people to come and give us this. That time has passed.
Following the Lake Nyos disaster, the government of Cameroon, working with foreign partners, established a plan to build modern facilities for the survivors, but the project has since stalled as the armed conflict in the affected Anglophone regions of the country rages on. This radio documentary was produced and presented for the CRTV by Kila Valerie Sala.